Nah, that's
No,
made up.
that's another thing. There's no such thing as Atlantis.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as before Genesis. Before Genesis was the Lord.
Yeah,
The
man.
Genesis genes in the headings or in the beginnings.
But they said
He was in the beginning.
Adam Eve was the Canaanite race of generation of
Cain
came way before that.
Canaanites weren't around.
Not Canaan. I'm talking about Adam and Eve. They say Adam and Eve was
Adamites.
Caucasian. Yeah, they said it was a Caucasian race of people generation.
No. And remember too, multiple generations of people were created at once. He took Adam from among the Adamites, a man named Adam from among the Adamites. And then that's where that story begins, with Adam and Eve. When it says that he took Eve out of his rib, it's talking about from his kinfolk. He picked a woman from his kid, not his actual rib, you know? But just, yeah, there was, in the beginnings, it was just, everything was black, it was void, just like the records show.
So if something is void, that means that the light can be all, but you just don't know it's there.
Well, he
Something was
illuminated.
void. They said if something was voided out. Then what was that?
Go to it. Go
What
to
was all that
Genesis.
they found underwater though?
Go to Genesis.
All the,
well, we came out of the waters. We came out of the waters. Those are just elements that were just floating out there in the yeah. Go to Genesis, the first chapter. They were just floating out there in the atmosphere. And then the angels illuminated those certain elements. Because remember, it says, go ahead, read it. Read from the top.
Genesis, which in the Hebrew is Bara Ashia, 1 and 1. In the beginning, the powers created the heaven and the earth.
Right now, the powers, when it says God there, it's not talking about the Heavenly Father. It's Elohim, which means the angels. Go ahead.
Verse 2.
Elohim. Allah, Elohim is just a different way of saying it, but it's not the correct way. The ancient way that we said it was Elohim. Go ahead.
Genesis 1 and 2. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep.
Right, so everything was very dark, and there was no earth. It didn't even have a shape. You had all the elements.
Water, but some others who possessed that.
No, the water wasn't. The waters weren't even brought together yet either. It was just void. You just had elements everywhere. It said the earth was void, without form, meaning you had all the elements of the earth everywhere, but it hadn't been put together yet. Go ahead.
Continuing on, and the spirit of powers moved upon the face of the waters.
Meaning the word spoke. Go ahead.
Verse 3, and power said, let there be
Which
light.
the waters means the Shemayim, which means pertaining to the heavens, or pertaining to the waters. Go ahead.
Verse 3, and power said,
Salaki means forgive me. We came, all those elements came out of the water. We all came out of the waters. All right. You had what? 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen.
We could live underwater then.
No, man wasn't created yet. Nobody was alive yet. Remember, these are just the elements coming together. It was just the angels bringing these together. Man wasn't created yet.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Genesis. That makes sense.
Genesis 1 and 4, and the powers saw the light that it was good, and the powers divided the light from the darkness.
Right. So what they did, they just illuminated certain elements so that it lit up. All right. So then you had, within the darkness, you had light, and then you had dark on one side. Go ahead.
Verse 5, and powers called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
Right, showing you our days that start in the evening. Now, I want you to go to the 3rd chapter. I'm sorry, the 5th chapter. Start at the top.
Genesis chapter 5 and verse 1. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that the powers created man, in the likeness of powers made he him.
I'm sorry, Salakia. Go back to the 1st chapter and start at verse 20. Start at verse 19.
Genesis chapter 1 verse 19, and the evening and the morning were the 4th day. And verse 20, and the powers said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven.
Right, that's talking about us. Remember, we're creatures, right?
Go ahead,
Yeah, we're creatures. Yeah, so we came out of the waters. Go ahead.
Yeah, we came out of war. Yeah, we came out of war.
Verse 21. verse 21. And the powers created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after this kind, and power saw that it was good.
Right, now go to the 5th chapter.
Start at the top.
Yeah.
Come on. Genesis chapter 5, starting at the top, verse 1. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that the powers created man, in the likeness of the powers made he him.
Go ahead.
Verse 2, male and female created he them.
Right, he said he created males and females created he them. Go ahead.
And blessed them and called their name Adam.
Right, and he called their name Adam. So you had a certain amount of men and women. They were known as, it doesn't say it there, but they would be known as the Adamites, or the descendants of Adam. Go ahead.
In the day when they were created.
Right, and that's it. You know, that's the church will have you believe it's just one
I
man.
ain't heard it from the church. I'm just.
No, that's what I heard, you know, growing up. It was just Adam and Eve, and it was just them in the beginning. Now the Lord, we came out of the waters, but he also put other parts of the earth in us. Because we're also formed of the dust of the ground.
What you mean about other parts of the earth in us?
Just like you got a certain amount of zinc, you got a certain amount of magnesium, you got a certain amount of water within you. The Lord put all these different elements in us to create man. You know? Because when it says that we came from the dust of the earth, the dust represents confusion. If I were to throw dust in your face, you'd be all confused. That's what that dust means. He took us out of that state of confusion and created in his image, which we know is what? The breath of life. When the scriptures talk about the breath of life, that's talking about the oracles, laws, statutes, commandments of how we're supposed to govern ourselves in righteousness. You know? That's what that breath of life is. You got it?
Yeah, Genesis 2.
Yeah, come on.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 7.
Oh, and Ezekiel, go to Ezekiel 37 chapter. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. And the Lord power formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
Right, because before you're just when you're in that confusion and dusty state, you're dead. It says, if you wander out of the way of understanding, you shall remain in the congregation of the dead. That's in Proverbs 21 to 16. You got Ezekiel 37. You got Ezekiel 37?
Yes.
Yeah, start at the top.
This is Ezekiel 37:1. The hand of the Lord was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord and set me down in the midst of the valley which was full of bones.
This is Ezekiel. He's looking at a huge valley full of bones, people's bones. Go ahead.
Verse 2, and caused me to pass by them round about, and behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord power, thou knowest. Again, and he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord.
Right, that's why you see us out here. We are the prophets coming back doing the same exact thing that he told one of our forefathers, Ezekiel. Now keep going.
Come, verse 5. Thus said the Lord power unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live.
That's the same breath that Adam received. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put up flesh, and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am the Lord.
So good. It's concrete, ain't no joke. Now it said the sinews and all that stuff, and the skin put and placed upon the dry bones represent these scriptures. He's fashioning us. Keep going.
Verse 7. So I prophesied, and I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bones. And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them. Verse 9. Then said he unto me
Right,
prophesied.
because you can have the skin, your body can be all put together, but if the breath is not in you yet, technically you're still dead. You can have all that and still be dehydrated. Go ahead.
Con, verse 9 again. Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith the Lord power, come from the four winds, O breath, and breath upon these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied, and he commanded me, and he breath came into them, and they lived, and stood upon their feet, an exceedingly great army.
And that's what's going on. The Lord is assembling a spiritual army. You see us out here, there's brothers just like us in all the cities in America. Every single capital city of America has brothers in it. LA, Detroit, Chicago, Miami, New York, which is spiritually Jerusalem, Philly, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, brothers everywhere. Not just here in the States, there's brothers in Toronto.
Like, man, we ain't got nothing to do with them, bro.
Who?
We ain't got nothing, different sense. And I see y'all. I ain't got nothing to do with them, bro.
Because they're afraid of the truth coming out. Because we bring out the truth. We bring out all the truth. Those guys don't teach the whole truth. We don't shun. When we come out and we're diligent, we're sincere. Those guys that come out, they're fair. You got your fair weather fans. They're fair weather Israelites. You come out here and when the seasons start to change, when it starts to get cold, we're still gonna be out here. We don't take breaks. Read that. Now this is to answer your question. You said how come the Latino brothers don't like us? Those are curses. Go ahead.
Man, we don't like ourselves anyway, but sometimes.
Yeah, you even got some Judites don't like Judah.
Yeah.
Zechariah chapter 9, verse 13.
I just got in an argument with my woman over that. She was like, how come every time I say something about the Dominicans, you always get so defended? I'm like, I get defended about all the tribes. It's just like, you don't like Dominican women because they look good. That's the truth of the matter. She gonna say, all Dominican women look like men. What?
No way.
What are you talking about? You can say that for every single tribe got women that look like men. Come on.
The Judite Benjamite Levite women, they don't like, they beef with Simeon and Asher. Asher is another one. When you tell the Israelite woman, and you tell an Israelite woman, a black woman, you going to Brazil, what do they say?
Stay there.
Why? Because they're threatened by what? The hair. It all goes back to the hair.
The way the women treat the
Glory.
men.
It's the hair.
But Brazil and these other countries, Dominican Republic, you go to the bar, the women gonna try and buy you drinks.
Yeah.
You go to these other, that's why women, the Western women, they don't want their men going to these other countries.
No, they're not.
They're gonna find out. That's why a lot of these actors and actresses of our nation, they got who they live with, their wives or their husbands are always heathens. And if they're not heathens, they live outside the country.
Brother, we have Edomites, right? So-called white men. They created a society where they want you to worship the woman, right? And they want to strengthen the woman liberation. But he himself, that white man, will go to Singapore and go to Thailand to find a submissive woman. You tell me, what's that all about? Yeah, you always see that, right? An Edomite man with an Asian woman. Asian women are known for what, being submissive. But you created a society that emboldens women, but you're going to look for a submissive woman.
You saw dropping like 50 racks on a wife.
Yeah. and you have documentaries on YouTube where Edomite men will literally say, hey, listen, the women in the West, unbearable. Unbearable. I tried to give her everything she was never satisfied. But that's the thing with the Asian woman, going back to what we said earlier, you ain't got to give her nothing, man. She wants to please you because she is happy when you're happy. Because that's the right spirit. She becomes happy because you are happy. Not because you're pleasing her. You see that? Burgers got to be destroyed, man.
That's right.
This is Zechariah chapter 11, verse 14. Then I cut asunder mine other staff, even bands.
Right, now that staff is talking about this right here. Because when you go, brother, pay attention, bro. Ezekiel 37 and 15. Because this is the staff. Before we read this, we're going to go into this.
This is Ezekiel 37 and 15. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions.
Right, so this is a stick. Judah is talking about these three tribes, the southern kingdom. This is Judah. And it says Joseph and Ephraim is talking about the northern kingdom. Ephraim being the head tribe, the so-called Puerto Ricans or the Tainos of today. So he said, take them and put them together onto one stick. All right, put them in one staff. All right, because when you look up that word, it means plank. All right, so that was a prophecy that he said. Now, let's go to what he told Zechariah. All right.
This is Zechariah chapter 11, verse 14.
Because the reason he told us this in Ezekiel, because of there, what he told in Zechariah, and also what he told Moses in Deuteronomy. Go ahead.
Zechariah 11 and 14. Then I cut asunder mine other staff, even bands.
Right, he cut asunder this right here. Go ahead.
That I might break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel.
Right, so he broke the brotherhood. That's why these tribes, you got tribal wars with each other, man. You know?
What was you doing?
Because the funny thing it was, we were getting tacos, and she was like, man, I've never had tacos like this. They're traditional Mexican tacos. I'm like, well, hold on, you know. They're not Mexican, and tacos didn't originate in Mexico. He was like, why are you getting so defensive? I was like, well, how would you feel if somebody called you Haitian, right? She'd be pissed. I was like, she said she would be pissed off. I was like, it's on the same level. You can't, because you're being stereotypical and shit, like you can't be ignorant, you know? But that's all it is just the women, they don't get it anyways. It's the hatred for each other. And it's not just the women, it's the men too.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah,
you can read that again. Did you finish it?
Jealousy.
Yeah, finish
Okay,
it.
that
I'll read
was
it
it.
again, though.
It was jealousy. Yeah, jealousy too.
The scripture speaks about that in the Surah, you know, about how you deal with women. And, you know, so you always got to be careful with that jealousy. That's why you got to treat them a certain, you know, give them all that love. And all that. You treat one better than the other, it's going to be jealousy.
And the spirit had me say something and stuff to her, so that now I know I ain't gonna say shit the next time. I'm just gonna let her think whatever the hell she think. And that'll be that. Cause I ain't getting no more headaches, bro. I'll tell you that. Especially when it comes to actual truth.
Oh, I'm glad you said
Fuck
that.
that.
You said I ain't getting no
I
more
ain't-
headaches.
Why'd you
I'm
say
like,
that when I seen
gonna
that,
suffer.
man?
You
know, the woman-
suffer, bro.
the woman comes
tell
with
me
headache.
nothing else, man.
Yeah, don't put no
You know,
more
man.
pressure on yourself.
Yeah, you're right, man.
Don't put no more pressure on yourself. When it comes to the northern tribes and we getting food, I know I'm gonna eat my food and enjoy that shit.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? Fuck it. I don't care. I'm there for food. I ain't there for the debating about the truth. And that's another thing you gotta pick. That's one thing which you learn. Wisdom teaches you discretion. Everybody, just because you know something doesn't always necessarily need to say something about it.
That's right. Yeah.
Sometimes you can be reserved. And remember, a wise man is kind of.
Talk don't know, and those who keep their mouth
Remember, that was the original thing we started with. Even a wise man, when he keeps it silent, is found. Even a man, when he keeps it silent, is found wise. Even a fool, when he keeps quiet, he's found wise. Yeah. Water. Here's something else.